Business is approval of the, do we approve the minutes of the last meeting? Any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any other discussion, or any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Claims. We have the claims in front of you for, I believe we have an updated claims number, which,
Approved contingent on signatures, I guess.
right, there was 411,308. Is that what you have, Randy?
404, 305,
I got 404-305.
305.
Okay, I have one that says 411. Nancy, do you happen to know which is which? 516, oh, June 6th, let's go with the 404. That's the latest and greatest. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, did I get a second on that?
Yes,
I'll second.
Lori seconded, I think. Okay, next we have application for operator's license. If you'd like, I'd read them. Patrick H. Bell, and this goes from 6/7/11 to 6/30/12. Patrick H. Bell, David Graff, Lee Keller, Hannah Schulberg, Leah Spike, Lucina T. Yoder. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on those? Staff has recommended approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then we have the renewal and issuance of regular operator license for the period of 7/1/11 to 6/30/13. Now, this has been approved also, I believe, Nancy?
Yes.
Okay. Robert Amundson, Marcio Boutros, Aaron Foote, Brittany Gainey, Tracy Himman, Jennifer Jorgensen, Rochelle LeBlanc, Matthew Leach, Philip McGee, Paige Perry, Janet Reisdorf, Cynthia Smith, Lori Stayberg, and Danielle Weeks.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And the issuance of temporary operator's license to be used July 1st through the 3rd, 2011, during the booster days in Lakefront Park to the following: Joel Eby, Tracy Jenkinson, Helen McCumbee, and Jerry McKenzie.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We have one more, and that's a temporary operator's license to be used June 21st, 2011, during the Pee Wee International Hockey Tournament picnic at Lakefront Park. Christopher Dyke. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 4, we have an application for a secondhand article and secondhand jewelry dealer's license. As soon as I get to it here, for Jeffrey Parsons. Everything's been approved. Nancy,
Yes, it has.
any motion to approve this?
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, review stockholders' report for alcoholic beverage licenses. Consider ordinance 10-11. Randy?
Well, it's come to my attention through Nancy that this seems a bit redundant for what we're trying to accomplish. There's one of two things we can set out to do. Either just do away with it completely, or as we're suggesting in this ordinance change, Nancy and I, that Nancy wrote on the backside, is a change in the language. I really don't think some of the information that this sheet requests, I don't think it needs to be known. I think some of it's private. What businesses of it ours to know what percentage stockholders hold. Plus the fact that the original application has the same information on the license application.
I think the only difference, Randy, is that they don't have percentage breakdown. They ask for stockholders.
Right, and I just don't feel like that's anybody's business. So I'd like to move for, well, we recommend to full council approval for the language change.
I'll second it for discussion. Catherine, just any comments?
Not really. It's not required under state law. It's not required on the form application that the Department of Revenue prepares. Nancy looked in the, minutes of the council meeting at which it was adopted. There was nothing clearly stated there regarding the purpose. And what it gives you is information about control. If there's some sort of, controlling ownership that might not be reflected in the names of the members or managers. I talked with Roger Johnson at the Department of Revenue. You can require it. It's not, the state doesn't require it. It's a policy question for the city, and I certainly understand what Randy's saying about, people may be reluctant to, why does the city collect it? Probably for that reason, but I don't know. It wasn't stated in the minutes.
Would our knowing those percentages really have any bearing on?
Well, I was trying to figure out how it would. I suppose there could be somebody that owns 99% of the stock from out of state or someplace else, and we have a 1% ownership that resides here. I guess, I'm not sure. I don't know why it was put in place. I think it was put in about 10, 12 years ago. I think it
was, let me see.
on the state application, they do ask for stockholders.
Yeah, you have to list the stockholders.
So the only difference is our particular form was asking for percentage ownership.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
So
I don't recall when it was.
This seems redundant, and, if I'm a private business and I've got financial backing somewhere, why is it your business?
okay, any other, Rich, any comments or thoughts?
I can't think of any reason why we need the percent of stock. I don't know what value it adds to the form,
Okay,
whether we change the
Lori?
application or not.
yeah, I don't have any problem with the change if Catherine
okay,
doesn't.
all in favor of the change?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks.
So are we gonna recommend a first reading?
I think so.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I think it might as well take it. There's no big hurry now that we've had our,
No.
I'd like to,
Right.
there's no big hurry now that we've already done the renewals. We might as well have a first reading if somebody can come up forward or has another idea on it.
Okay.
Item 6 is consider long-range planning for City Hall computer system. I know Randy had asked to put this on, and I've come up with that I would like to form a ad hoc committee with Lee, Randy, Mike Kruger, and Devin Welly on a short-term basis to figure out and make a recommendation to us on our computer system. If you guys think that's, I guess we'll just make that, I'll make that recommendation tonight at council, unless you have some concerns about that.
No, I
Do we
don't.
want to recommend it out of finance, or?
So is this an ongoing ad hoc committee, or is
No,
it?
it should have a life. We'd like a recommendation, and I don't know if we want to give it a life. No, it can't be. I don't want it as a permanent committee. I'd rather have it make a recommendation on, because we've had some thoughts after the last couple meetings. I know Lee has talked a little bit about some of the things, and we need to look for the future on what kind of needs we may have. Is there a motion?
You can certainly do it if you want.
I'm probably not the person they want on that committee.
Yep.
I'll move.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 7, new EMS billing for supplies, non-transport fees, and standby for dedicated events. I guess we don't have, on this sheet, we don't have the old rates, or do we?
I don't think they are.
Wasn't in the minutes either. Let's see. What percentage?
They were not huge increases, as I
Okay.
recall. for the oxygen and spinal immobilization. But just getting them in line, these were recommendations from the consultant that we had. And the dedicated event standby, you know, just like our police officers have fees that are charged when they are asked to be at an event on standby, we need to have the same sort of rates in place for our medics, especially as we get more and more of these races and events in town.
So were we not charging, Lori?
I don't know if it was, I think they were doing it as a courtesy for the
Okay.
most part. And so they've just decided that's something that they need to do if they're gonna be dedicating staff.
Okay. Any thoughts?
That's it.
Is there a motion?
I'll move that we approve the new rates.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any
I should
discussion?
mention one more thing, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
That's all
On
right.
the lift assistance, greater than 3 times per year, a charge of $100. There are some situations where they are repeatedly called back to the same residence. And there was some sense that, well, okay, when it's a non-transport situation, when the individual is helped in their home but not transported for further medical care, in the past, there's been no charge for that. And yet it ties up the medics and, you know, EMTs for a certain amount of time. And, you know, there was some reluctance, but I think final agreement that if this is something that's ongoing and we're repeatedly going back to the same residence, that there will be a minimal charge for that.
Okay,
Okay.
so we have people calling and we're sending an ambulance out, or probably the chase vehicle to,
Mhm.
okay,
They've fallen or they need help, you know,
Okay.
being moved.
okay,
There was some discussion that, you know, by having some charge in place, it might bring to the attention of some other people that maybe this individual is needing some assistance at home, or, so
Okay.
we felt like by ignoring it, we weren't really
Okay.
probably doing the individual a favor.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, consider renewal of annual alcoholic beverage license from period set. Did I skip something?
Yeah,
Oh, revise St. Croix EMS bylaws regarding commission member from medical community.
Yeah, and you know, I realized after reading this that it looks like they did not include the language of the new bylaw.
Should we wait until next time?
We
You wanna-
can, or if you would allow me to just explain.
Okay,
In the
shoot.
past, we've had, it's been a little bit more generally stated in the bylaws that someone who's a member of the medical community in Hudson would be a member on the EMS commission. And so that could be a veterinarian or a dentist or, you know, you name it. And there was a strong sense from the consultant that, you know, given the closeness with which our EMS works with Hudson Hospital, that Hudson Hospital should be a member, should be that person from the medical community, yeah. That it should be an individual from the Hudson Hospital. And we, you know, I guess I would like the language to come back, because one thing that I specifically asked is that the individual they can be a voting member in general, but not when it comes to issues of taxation and,
budget.
right, and the per capita increases.
Right, and the
They
agreements.
shouldn't, right,
So,
That was
yeah.
pointed out somewhere, but I don't
yes,
see it.
it was in the, somewhere, yeah.
But the actual language is not in
No,
here.
and it
So
would
I
be
would
good.
like that to go back.
But do you want to specifically include someone from the hospital?
Yes.
Okay,
I mean, I think it behooves us to do so. It doesn't.
Aren't they on the board now, but they're just not a
Advisory.
voting
They're-
member?
they're on the
They're
board.
like staff to the board and
Yeah,
stuff.
but the way the bylaws read, it can be anyone from the medical community. And so,
Okay.
as I said, it could be a dentist, it could be
Oh.
a veterinarian, you know, it could be someone with whom EMS does not really work.
So was the issue to make it someone from the
From Hudson
hospital?
Hospital.
But not, the issue was not making them a voting member.
Part of it was they would have some voting privileges. But let's bring it back when it's.
bring it back, yeah.
Okay.
more clearly stated here. I realize they didn't have the actual change here. And if there's issues with it, the way we wrote it up, we can certainly bring it back to the EMS commission.
So does the person have to live in our community that is served by the EMS, or just be a employee of the hospital?
They need to be an employee of the hospital.
Don't you have like some kind of contact person who
Yes.
the EMS works under the
A
direction
medical
of?
director,
Yeah.
yes.
Why would you want them to be voting rather than just advising on, the medical end of it?
Well, this particular person is not a medical person, is she, Deb? She's a financial person, isn't she?
Right.
Oh,
But we also have a medical director.
who's
Right.
on the commission?
No,
Okay.
he just serves as, the director for the medic team.
And are they wanting a medical director on the commission?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
Most of the time, it's been someone from Hudson Hospital. Sometimes it's been someone from Hudson Physicians.
Mhm.
But they really want it to be ongoing, for it to be someone from the hospital.
But not necessarily a medical
No.
professional.
No.
You think we should have a medical professional on that? As long as they're not voting on financing and...
Yeah, Eric really works with the medical director on his own. I don't really think it would be necessarily productive. It helps to have someone who's involved in really the financial aspects of the hospital and
Oh.
operations. When we talk about how EMS can better work with Hudson Hospital. Let's just bring back the language.
Okay.
If you guys aren't comfortable with it, we can certainly bring it back.
Is that right? You guys okay with that?
But I just wanted to give you a little bit of background.
Okay. Do we need a motion on that? I don't think we need a motion, do we?
You could just have a motion to postpone, so it's in the
Okay.
minutes that that's what's happening.
I'll make the motion to postpone. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Now we get to number 9, consider renewal of annual alcoholic beverage licenses for period 7/1/11 to 6/30/12. Nancy?
Let's see. So tonight, the Chipotle Mexican Grill application for renewal for beer only can be considered. And then, as you can see, there's still 4 establishments that were licensed for this current year that there's still some issues about. One of them has outstanding debt, the other one hasn't submitted an application yet, and I've heard that that location isn't going to be rented anymore, that space for him.
Okay.
And Kaladi's 2.0 has submitted their application, but it needs to be on file for 15 days before council can act on it, and so that one's not ready. And then the Ellie's on Main still has some,
So we have our next meeting on the 20th,
right,
and if it has to be on file, has Ellie submitted theirs?
yes.
Okay, so they've submitted, Kaladi's has not submitted.
Yes, they did.
Oh,
Kaladi's
okay.
2.0 submitted, but it hasn't been on file long enough for council to take any action on
Okay.
it right now.
So basically, we have one more meeting,
That's right.
okay?
Move to approve the Chipotle Mexican Grill beer only license.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, application of Chipotle Mexican Grill for the change of liquor license agent. Nancy?
This is a change of agent request, and the background check has been done. It came through fine, so they're requesting that they just have an agent change.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Application of Universal Transportation Service for taxicab license, DBA Ninja Cab Company, 501 Second Street, and 2 taxicab licenses.
This is just like a renewal application for the upcoming year, July 1st through June 30th of 2012. He's added a second vehicle, and everything else has been checked out.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have the insurance certificate?
Yes.
Okay,
On this one, this is where we made the change to increase,
from 100 to 500,
yes.
$1,000 in liability.
Actually, it has not been received for this license year yet, so we'll have to make the motion contingent on receipt.
Contingent on it.
Okay. Who seconded that?
I did.
Was that okay with you? Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Application of the Fathers Club for a temporary Class B license to sell beer on June 21st at the Hudson Pee Wee International Hockey Tournament Picnic in Lakefront Park. Nancy?
This is a request for a temporary beer license to sell beer at Lakefront Park on June 21st. They want to start serving at 5 p.m. until midnight. And as far as I know, everything checks out. The map is provided on the back. It's the standard map that most people use when they have that location down there. So the fence would be inside the path area. And I think there's a representative here if you have any questions about the event itself.
Nancy, does it make a difference that you got noon to midnight on top and then starts at 5?
The time up on the top is when beer is allowed to be present at the location,
Okay.
but the event won't start until 5.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Mr. O'Connor, do we have a certificate of insurance for this?
No,
Is it required?
not unless they have a large assembly permit, and I haven't been made aware that that's going to be more than 1,000
I don't
people
think it-
expected.
You wanna? Sure, if you would. You don't expect more than 1,000, do you?
No, Mayor and members, no, we don't.
Okay.
And forgive me, but I'm kind of a stand-in for Carrie Dirks. She was going to be here tonight, but her father passed away and the funeral was today.
Okay. Okay, that's, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Authorization for independent billing inspector services. Mr. Gray.
Thanks, Mayor. The biggest reason I'm here tonight is Mike Wallace has filled in for me in the past, and he's indicated to me that this is going to be his last year, that he's going to be filling in. He's going to let his credentials lapse after this calendar year. And then the other reason is with the construction activity being what it is this summer, it would be helpful to have a little backup on occasion. Currently, we've issued about $10 million worth of construction through the end of May, and that doesn't include the comfort suites that's going to get started here in the next few weeks. That project was permitted before the first of the year. I've talked with other inspectors and other municipalities that tell me that around 12 million to 15 million is about right for one inspector to handle. So I think we're going to easily exceed that number this year. And also in those conversations, I've talked with typical workloads for inspectors, and 5 hours out of the office is pretty manageable and pretty typical in other communities. There's been a few days in the recent weeks where I've been scheduled almost entirely out of the office. It makes it difficult to keep up with things. So if we get this agreement worked out and revenues dictate it, it'd be helpful to have these guys in my back pocket, so to speak, to have them for support on occasion. The 2011 budget included $4,000 to cover part-time inspections. That would more or less cover the time I'm away on vacation. Any additional help would be covered by like I said, revenue, that would justify the need. We had Liz Moline in our office and myself drafted an agreement, and that agreement is based on 3 separate contracts that we sampled. The first was from a contract we had, the city of Hudson had with independent inspections back in '99, before the assistant inspection position was created. The second document was a contract that Brian Wirt has with the village of Hammond. And the third was a contract that Alcroy Inspection has with the city of Prescott. We wanted to use we didn't want to reinvent the wheel when creating this. Catherine has reviewed the document. There's some changes that didn't get reflected in your packet. I don't think they're major changes. The only sticking point that we have really is the level of insurance that we're going to require from these companies. Nancy has given me a sample of what our insurance company is looking for from any of our service providers. The levels of insurance they're looking for, and general liability is $1 million. Workman's compensation is $500,000, and excess liability of $2 million. The unfortunate part is neither of these companies carry this level of insurance. So
What about automotive or the car? So when they're driving? I was just looking at the contract, part of the contract, the agency will, current certificate of insurance, city is party to receive prior to notice of policy, It's on page 3.
Yep, and that's the sticking point I was referring to. Catherine would like to see some figures put in behind those.
I think we would too.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm looking I guess specifically to you, Alan, to see what those levels should be.
I think a general liability of $1 million seems reasonable. $1 million per occurrence. I think that's pretty standard. Errors and omission or professional liability, do the people you're talking to have these currently? They probably do.
Yep.
And is that probably $1 million for error and omissions?
I believe
Professional liability?
Alcroy carries 500,000.
Okay,
Yes, 500,000.
okay.
What was the 2 million for?
Umbrella.
In automotive, $500,000, is that a good number? Might be, I don't know, Nancy, do you remember what our insurance company said? Because we probably have $1 million with umbrella. We have a, $10 million umbrella?
Oh, I don't recall.
Well, I think those minimum should be $1 million general, 500 on errors and omissions, and then Catherine can get involved too, and then we should have $500,000 on auto, I would think.
Okay.
I don't know.
really have any.
Okay.
I mean, that I typically ask the league, the city's insured what
Yeah.
they'd recommend.
I don't know if we need
This
to.
is stand-in,
Yeah.
not,
Right, I don't think we need an excess of $2 million. I personally don't think we need an excess of $2 million.
Yeah, I would suspect that.
We probably wouldn't find anybody that could meet
Right.
those requirements.
Right, and I would think that between the two of them, and this year with Mike, I'd still use Mike as much as possible this year. But I would suspect none of these firms would do more than 100 inspections in a given year.
Okay. So if we had general liability at $1 million, errors and omissions at $500,000, automotive at $500,000, and workers' comp can be 100 slash 500,000. So
Okay.
that's kind of standard. But I think we should add workers' comp,
Okay.
because if they get hurt on the job, it comes to us then.
yeah. And I think it's stated in here, they're an independent contractor.
Okay,
and
maybe you don't feel we
responsible
need it
for
then?
all. Well, no, I mean, even though, that it's always better to have insurance, so.
Most of them have the workers' comp, don't they, if they have or,
Well, Alcroy is a sole proprietor, but he said he'd be willing to get the workers' comp.
he can buy an if any policy, if he has any.
I know he's had employees in the past, so it wouldn't
Okay.
be anything new to him.
Anybody else feel like we should have a workers' comp or not?
Doesn't hurt to have it.
No. I mean, I don't think it's gonna throw anybody out, is it?
No.
Okay.
So have we, I mean, we've mainly considered these two individuals? Is it because it's such a small dollar amount that we,
Yeah, it doesn't,
Don't
it's
really
services,
need
number
to.
one, you don't have to go out for bid, or it's probably under 5 for a year.
Right. And they're the most local companies.
Knowledgeable of the area and,
I guess my question is, okay, great for 2011. What's your future plans for your budget?
I guess we'd have to, depending on the workload, depending on the construction activity, it'd be something we'd need to.
I mean,
We'd
we're
have
going to
to-
ask you for a budget, I assume, and are you going to look for the same type of thing? Or are you going to look for a part-time person? I guess we're fixing this right now.
Mhm.
it'd sure be a nice problem to have, that we would need to hire a
Yeah.
part-time person for more building permits.
Yeah, right. It definitely currently isn't something that we need full-time. We'd want to monitor it. But I think in the short term, it'd be something that would work.
so you feel pretty comfortable with the dollars that are allocated this year? You'll be okay, it's just that you're looking for some other individuals to
Right,
use?
right.
Yeah, okay.
And any increases in these fees would be more than offset by the building inspector fees too, wouldn't they?
Exactly, yeah.
Well,
Just on the changes, I mean, there's several places where it's been consolidated and cleaned up the language. The only main substantive was the insurance, and then on the termination or duration of the agreement, I just said should be terminable by either party for any reason upon, and David suggested 10 business days written notice.
So you're gonna just clean
Just
that
so
up?
there's, yeah, so
It's more
there's
simple.
not this, yeah. You violate, certainly you can, if there's problems, you can work with the person, but if you want to terminate, I just think it's, either one can terminate on 10 days' notice.
So does the committee feel comfortable that we can get the final draft to Catherine and then be comfortable with those changes? Consolidation, or do you want it to come back?
No, I'd be comfortable with that, but my understanding is going to be that these additional costs will not exceed the fees collected from additional revenues. So that would be a contingency I would make if I was recommending this. Not going to exceed the fees.
It wouldn't go in the contract, but
No.
it would be a restriction on
Would be a restriction.
David's use of
Is
these.
that a motion?
I'll make that a motion, yeah, with the
Okay.
contingency that does not exceed the fees collected from the expected additional revenues.
I'll second that.
Okay. And we're gonna get the final contract. Yeah, we feel comfortable with, let's go ahead with the changes that we talked about for insurance and then the, okay. Randy?
Yep.
Lori? Everything? David, is that okay with you?
That's good with me.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anything for future agenda items? Motion, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.